In the last tutorial, we saw how to implement human in the loop for REST APIs. And in this one, we're going to implement the same, but for WebSockets. We're going to be using the same code from the last tutorial. So if you haven't watched that, I'm going to leave the link to that tutorial in the description. So the first thing we do is we add another endpoint, and this endpoint is going to be a WebSocket endpoint. And in this endpoint, first we accept the WebSocket connection from the client. And then we wrap the logic for our endpoint inside a try and accept block. First, we are expecting JSON data from the client. The input is going to be inside the data. So we extract that using data.getInput. And then we initialize the same payment workflow from our last tutorial. We run the workflow passing in the input that we got from the client. And then we iterate over all the streamed events and check whether the event is an instance of waiting for user confirmation event. And from our last video, we know that this waiting for confirmation event is actually a waiter event for another event, which is this payment confirmation event. So that means that if we receive the waiting for user confirmation event, that means that our workflow is currently paused and waiting for the payment confirmation event. For the REST API, in this step, we have to pause the workflow, take a snapshot, and return the user asking for user confirmation. But as WebSocket is a two-way communication between the client and the server, we can skip that step and ask the client for confirmation directly. And then we wait for user's confirmation. From the received JSON message, we're expecting a key is confirmed by user. If that field is not present in the received data, then we just send an error message. And after receiving the confirmation, we send the payment confirmation event, passing in whether the user accepted or rejected this action. And as our workflow is currently paused, waiting for this payment confirmation event, after we send this event, the workflow will resume and continue execution. Next, we just capture the final output from the stop event. And finally, we await the handler and send the final response to the client. Okay, now let's test this by running the server. Let's run our WebSocket client. We can see that connection is successfully established. Now let's send the input like it's expecting. We can see that the workflow has started running and it's waiting for the user confirmation event. Let's confirm the action, and we can see that the workflow execution continued and terminated. So that's how we can do human in the loop for WebSocket connection.